Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of our RANT series. Today, this is a pretty impromptu rant. There was nothing planned about this. I did not have this on my schedule or my list of to-dos for the shows for the Sea of Tranquility YouTube channel. This is purely influenced by last night's Music Without Boundaries radio show that Jeff Young does every Tuesday night and has been doing for 8 years. Jeff's a very good friend of mine, and he and I have talked about this topic quite a bit. And I've actually touched on this topic a few times on a couple recent questions and answers show here on Sea of Tranquility when folks, viewers, have asked me about my take on the current music industry, the current music scene, and where I see it going in the years from now, and how it's changed so much over the years. And, I was listening to Jeff's show last night, and Jeff got into a lot of kind of the things going on behind the scenes of the music industry today with the people in power and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to touch on that much, but I just wanted to kind of sound off a bit on what I see is happening today. And I think that the main issue we've got going on today in the music, why so many people either of two opinions, all right? That the music sucks. There's no good music being made today, and then the others are kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, whatever is popular, I'll listen to. Whatever's on the radio, whatever's on Spotify, whatever's on satellite, whatever I see on the Video Music Awards or the Grammys and all that kind of stuff. That's good enough for me. Okay, I just kind of I don't know who any of the bands are. I don't know who plays on their albums. I don't really listen to albums. I just like songs here and there and all that kind of stuff. There's a reason why people are like that, okay? Because we live in a world where everything's got to be spoon-fed us. I think we are in an immediate society where everything's got to happen instantly, okay? From, walking around with phones, got to know what's happening in the news the second it happens, got to know, what the score of the game is the second it happens, got to know what our, stupid-ass president said 2 minutes ago, what he tweeted 15 minutes ago, all right? And in addition, what to listen to, what to watch, okay? And we're suckers for that. I mean, the majority of our population has fallen trap to being spoon-fed everything. Being spoon-fed what's important in the news, what is deemed the truth in the news, what music to listen to, all that kind of stuff. And it's happening to people of all ages, all right? All ages. I mean, what happened to... I'm going to go back in time here. When I was growing up as a kid, I'm 53 years old, right? So I've seen both ends of the equation. I was a young guy way before internet, okay? If you wanted to go and experience new music, what did you do? You went down to a fucking record store. I used to go to Record World in the Orange Plaza Mall in Middletown, New York, Record World, Book and Record, and leaf through LPs, all right? If I saw a band that I kind of recognized because maybe I read something in a magazine, Cream, Hit Parader, Circus, whatever it might be, I like, oh, they have a new album out. I would maybe pick it up. Or maybe an album cover of some band I never heard before looked awesome. I'm like, I'm going to take a chance on this. Or maybe I read something in the newspaper. Remember those things, guys? Newspapers, right? Maybe I read something in a newspaper that a store was having a special promotion on the new album from, the Eagles or Kiss or whoever it might be. You'd hear about these things. You wouldn't know about it months in advance. You'd hear about it when they got released, right? Or, I would go down to Rock Fantasy in Middletown, New York. I'd go visit my friend Steve. Steve, what do you got this week? Well, we got the new Megadeth album. We've got the new Exodus album. We got the new Whitesnake album, whatever. I'd be like, oh, cool. Pick all that stuff up, right? You had to go places. You had to look. You had to ask questions. You got referred by other people. Someone would mention, hey, I picked up this new album from Voivod. Have you checked it out? No, I'm going to do that. Hey, there's a new Yes album out. And you know what? John Anderson's not in the band anymore. Really? Oh, I'm going to go check that out, right? That's what you had to do. You had to actually do some work, do a little investigating, get in your car, drive somewhere. Okay, maybe, not today. You don't have to leave your damn house, right? You don't have to leave your damn house. I mean, I'm not knocking people who dig it, but, I know plenty of people who, they don't buy CDs. They don't download and purchase CDs. They're like, nah, you know what? I got a Spotify account. I just put it on shuffle all the time, and I got all my favorite stuff from the 80s when I was younger, and I just that's all I listen to, because I don't really have the patience to go out and listen to anything new, and nothing really grabs me anymore. So I'm just listening to the same old Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Van Halen, Michael Schenker Group, Dio, Black Sabbath stuff over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm like, and that's all great because I love all that stuff, obviously, but man, aren't you selling yourself short a little bit? Right? It's like, don't you want... I mean, there's been plenty of great new groups that have come out since 1986 that are probably playing music that you would really like based on what you liked back in the day, but people have gotten lazy. And people are like, and a lot of times when I talk about this, it's like I get a lot of our viewers who, will chime in and put comments and like, yeah, Pete, I'm sitting there listening to you and I'm red-faced because I'm 55 or I'm 60 years old and I'm that guy you're talking about. And I don't know how to get out of it. It's like, well, if you're watching this show, okay, or maybe you're listening to Jeff Young's Music Without Boundaries radio show, you're doing so for a reason, okay? You're doing so because I like to talk about a lot of those old bands and albums that you hold so dear to your heart, as I do. But there's plenty of you who watch this show to get turned on to stuff you never heard before, okay? So, a perfect example, all right? So just to show you how, and again, I'm not picking on anybody who watches this show, okay? This is just a general observation. Do you know how many times I have done a show where I've talked about some, great new underground, old underground stuff? I do these Forgotten Favorite shows every so often where I talk about and show some cool stuff that I either have in my collection that I picked up recently. This great hard rock band from '69, this great prog band from '72 that were, never released on a major label, but now they found their way to CD, and I've gone and picked them up, and, and all these great bands that, the general public has never heard of before. And I get so many people like, oh, Pete, that's awesome. I would love to get that. Where'd you get it? How do I find that? It's like, well, how did I find it? Do a Google search, okay? One thing, all right? That's the first thing. So if I tell you, here's an album by a band, if you like, Budgie, Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, whatever, you'll love these guys. You can find the CDs out there. Well, Pete, where did you find it? Google is your friend, okay? You can find anything. There's plenty, I'm more than happy to tell people where I got stuff. But, another thing, it's like, I've done this numerous times. That's how I find a lot of stuff. Just do a Google search, rare 70s hard rock, rare 70s progressive rock. There are plenty of websites out there that just list all these great unknown underground bands that had releases, okay, that have CDs out that you can go investigate and find. And usually they have links to where you can find them, okay? Another thing I get all the time, Pete, I love that shirt. How do I find a shirt like that? Google it, people. It's like, just Google is your friend. You know how many companies are out there making cool rock band shirts of any album cover, you can find anything. That's why I have so many fucking shirts, because I'm just like, I'll be one week, I'll be like, kind of like, I'm listening to Wishbone Ash this week, and man, I really love the cover of their first album and stuff like that. And what do? I'm like, I'd love to have a shirt. So I go online, Google Wishbone Ash t-shirts, and boom, there it is. $20, mine. Okay, how easy was that? So I get a lot of questions like that. Pete, how do you find this stuff? Pete, I'm not the smartest guy on the planet, right? But I have a desire to expand my horizons, whether it's what I'm wearing, what I'm listening to, all that kind of stuff, what I'm reading. It's not hard to find things today, people. With the internet, okay, you can find anything you want. Anything, whether it's something you know about or something you're looking to explore, it's out there. Don't wait to be spoon-fed from the media what you should be reading, what you should be wearing, what you should be watching, what you should be listening to. Because they don't know you, right? They think they know you. The media is very powerful today. And, you can go back in time. It's like, back in the day, all right, how did a lot of us decide what music we wanted to go and explore? We would listen to the radio. Radio stations, FM, AM radio, back in like the 60s, 70s, and the early part of the 80s was a great vehicle for record labels to funnel their new product from their existing bands or new bands. Say, hey, here's this new album. Here's some promo copies. We want you to play. We want you to focus on these couple of songs, but feel free to play whatever. And the radio stations, the DJs would jump all over that, and they would promote new music. People would then go hear it. They would go out and buy it. Right? unfortunately, today, most of the major record labels don't need radio anymore. Why would you? Okay, because you can post songs on Facebook, on Insta. I don't even know how Instagram works. I don't really use it. But YouTube. All right, you shoot a quick little video, post that on YouTube as a teaser for a new album coming out. Boom, million hits. People are either going to buy that album or purchase that single or stream it on whatever they're listening to and all that kind of stuff. And that's how people find out about stuff nowadays. All right, they don't have to do anything. God, you don't have to do nothing. You can sit there, you go on Facebook and you like everything you see, okay? And then you're going to get in your feed fed every day all this kind of stuff. That's, oh, here's a new video for this, new link to this, new blah, 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 blah. You don't need to do anything. Nothing, okay? Just click and watch. So where's the effort on us? Okay, there is none anymore. Unless you're someone who doesn't want to be spoon-fed all that. I got into an interesting little conversation with one of our viewers here, and he's gonna know who he is as soon as I mention this. But a couple weeks ago, the new Opeth album is coming out in a couple weeks, and they've been releasing a couple tracks here and there. All right, and then the album is going to be sung in English and Swedish, so they've been releasing like both versions of a couple select tracks, as they do all the time nowadays. You get a new album coming out from a named band, and they start releasing like 1, 2, 3, 4 songs before the album comes out. And I got into a little conversation with one of our viewers here who said, you know what, I listened to the first track, I'm not listening to anymore because I don't want to be spoiled. I want to hear the album as a whole when it comes out. And I agree with that. I very rarely, especially if it's something an album that I'm really, really interested in by a band that I like, if they're going to release like 3, 4, 5 tracks before the the album actually comes out, I may listen to one, and generally speaking, that first track that they release, in most cases, is never the best song on the album. Not even close. Okay? So I may listen to one, and then I'm like, that's it. I may listen to 2. I never listen to more than that. And I got into this conversation with one of our viewers, and he totally is the same as me. It's, you know what? That's it. I'm waiting until it comes out, and then I want to digest it as a whole. Not what they're kind of spoon feeding us, once a week, once every 2 weeks or whatever. And that's, but there are a lot of people that don't do that. There are a lot of people that will listen to everything that they're putting out, that they're they're sending out there, here little feelers here and there, and they'll make a judgment about what the album's going to be as a whole. In a lot of cases, they'll listen to the first track, like, yeah, I'm not crazy about that. I'm going to avoid the album. Why? Because I'm telling you, almost all cases, that first track that they release off a brand new upcoming album is never the best album, or never the best song on the album. And you're doing a disservice to yourself and the band, actually, by not giving that whole album a chance. Because you're just basing it on one listen that the record label or the band decided to float out there early. Okay? Again, make your own decisions on these things. Okay? Make your own opinion on the whole. Because so many bands nowadays are not getting people buying into albums anymore. It's all about songs. Yeah, I don't need, the album thing. I go buy a new album and, I only like 3 of the songs. Did you buy the album, or did you just kind of do a little listen on YouTube or wherever? Times have changed, man. Times have changed. And it's just, Jeff on his show last night, talked a lot about the Video Music Awards the other night. And I haven't watched the MTV Video Music Awards in years. There is absolutely no reason for me to watch it. There ain't nothing on that show that interests me at all. Like, I have no interest in, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, although Katy Perry's kind of cute. Taylor Swift, all these, Jay-Z, and who gives a fuck? Like, they're not making any kind of music that interests me. They're not interesting as people, okay? So they get up there and, with all their kind of weird imagery and stuff like that, playing these songs that nobody really gives a shit about. But you know what? enough people watch the MTV Video Music Awards and they'll see Taylor Swift playing some song and they're like, oh, that song is great. Meanwhile, there's nothing original about that song at all. Most of these popular tunes nowadays have sampled from songs from the past and, stole this. There's nothing original happening at all. There's no great musicianship. There's nothing good going on as far as I'm concerned. It's all about the image, okay? But, Taylor Swift, that's a great song. I'm going to go download that song. Or, you know what? I'm just going to go on Spotify, find it, and add it into my playlist, okay? You know how many people I know who use Spotify on a regular basis and their playlist consists of like 50 songs and that's all they do is they listen to those same songs over and over and over again? I would go out of my mind. I would go fucking nuts if that's all I had, okay? I get a lot of people who say, Pete, my God, you got all this music. And for all of you who still keep asking how many CDs I have, it's probably about 9,000, okay? So I get that question like every day, even though I've given this answer a million times. So a lot of people are like, well, how do you find the time to listen to all this stuff? It's like, well, you got to remember, I've had a lot of this stuff for decades, okay? So a lot of these, I listen, there's the real familiar ones, which I listen to, or have been listening to for 40 plus years. Okay, there's the newer stuff. I mean, I give everything a chance. I bring the CDs around the house. I got them in the car. I got a lot of the stuff on two, big classic iPods. Listen to at the gym, listen to when I'm traveling, out by the pool, so whatever. But I digress. So I guess kind of what my point is here today is that, yeah, the music industry is a mess. But I get really frustrated when people say to me, there's no good music being released anymore. The only good music was released, back in the 70s and the 80s. Bullshit. Okay? That is a cop-out answer. And that is an answer of a lazy person who does not want to go and find the good music. It's out there. You know how many times I've heard people say to me in the last couple of months, it's like, the best prog era was in the 70s, and there's been no good progressive rock release since 79. Again, I call bullshit. In the early 80s, you had Marillion and IQ and 12th Night and Palace, right? And then in the 90s, you've got bands like Ekelin and the Flower Kings and Anecdote and Anglagard and Glass Hammer and Spock's Beard. And, you've got Haken and all this. Don't get me started. There have been so many great progressive rock albums released in the 90s and the 2000s. All right? And if you are someone who's going to tell me that there's been no good music in prog or metal or what have you since, the 70s or the 80s, you just stop listening, dude. It's out there. It's out there. What? And I'm going to harp on this again, but I get so many people, and I'm thankful for all of our viewers and subscribers, but, so many people watch my show just to hear me talk about the bands from the 70s. And yet when I post a video talking about new releases by newer bands or new releases from classic bands, I get like a fraction of the viewership on those shows. It's like people just completely tune out. Oh, it's something new. I'm not interested. Why aren't you interested? Give some of these new bands who are playing in styles that you love, that are influenced by the bands that you love. Don't turn your brain and your ears off, okay? I'm pleading with everybody. It's like you really have to. There's so many great young bands who are playing like styles in a homage to some of the greats of yesteryear, but they're not on major labels, right? A lot of it's being self-produced, self-released, or on small labels. It's out there. I can't tell. It's daunting for me at times, being in the position that I'm in. Okay, I've got the Sea Tranquility webzine, right? We get flooded with requests to review new product like you would not believe. I don't have enough people to cover it anymore. All right, so a good chunk of it gets unlistened to and it's not reviewed because I just don't have the staff anymore. But even so, I mean, there was a time, God, throughout the last 20 years since I've had that, or close to 20 years since I've had Sea of Tranquility, where I would listen to and review 300-400 new releases a year. And I'm amazed at the quality of what's out there. I just don't have the time anymore, so I don't get to nearly that much. But even if I review 100 or 150 new albums a year, I would say 70% of that I'm damn impressed by. Okay? Impressed enough that I probably would want to own a lot of those albums, CDs, whatever. So, you're talking to someone who, grew up in the 70s and the 80s with all those classic bands. I've learned that there's a lot more than just that old stuff. There's a lot more if you just go out and find it. All right, if you're watching a show like this, or you're going to Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles, and if you listen to Jeff Young's Music Without Boundaries show, there's places all over the place that can present you with what's available for you to listen to, check out, and hopefully fall in love with. Because the bands, the artists, need your support. I can't stress enough that a lot of these bands and artists nowadays, and we're not talking about the ones that you see on the fucking Video Music Awards or on the Grammys, they're set, right? They're like the poster children for the powers that be. That's the one who the people who they've handpicked to be the mouths and the ears, today's bullshit rock stars, because they ain't rock stars, I'm telling you right now. I'm not talking about all of them. Okay, I'm talking about the younger bands, or the veteran bands who maybe aren't on major labels anymore, but still out there touring and releasing new product. They need your support, because Spotify. Go out and listen to Joe Bonamassa, great blues guitar player. Go listen to his recent interview where he talks about the whole Spotify thing and how it doesn't fucking work. Nobody makes money. None of these artists make any money from you streaming music on Spotify. They don't. They make nothing. Okay? Nothing. I have a friend here, I'm not going to say who he is, but I have a friend who signed a very nice deal with a cool hard rock and metal label a couple years ago, and had some decent success with, people purchasing the downloads or streaming all this kind of stuff. And when he got that check, after the first year or whatever it was, he was shocked at how little it was. And I hear this all the time. It's like these bands and artists today are not making anything. The only way to make money is to go out on the road constantly. Constantly, every day. You got to go out on the road. You got to pack them in. You got to sell merch. Because if you're not doing that, you're not making money on the music you're creating. Okay? You're not making any money on the music you're creating. And when did we as a society deem that musicians and artists creating music, that what they're producing should be free or next to nothing? All right? Did we all of a sudden say recently, you know what? We shouldn't pay firemen anymore, especially if they're only putting out one fire a week. We should stop paying policemen because, they haven't stopped enough crimes during the course of the week. All right? Oh, it's been a slow day at the hospital. Maybe we should pay them less. All right? Things we need, things we enjoy. We certainly pay cable companies a hell of a lot of money to watch their programming, right? I know there's ways around that too, but we spend a lot of money on entertainment through the media, TV and all that kind of stuff, whether you're streaming it now or whether you're doing it through a cable company. We're still paying that. That ain't free. So why all of a sudden this music, why did so many people like, oh, I don't want to pay for music. I don't want to buy CDs. I don't want to download anything from iTunes. I don't want to pay that kind of money. You know what? I'll pay Spotify $10 a month to listen to whatever the hell I want. And you can do that, and millions of people do that. But just understand that the artists don't make any money from that. And are we moving towards a time where musicians are going to be like, you know what? I can't afford to do this anymore. I love it. It's my passion. It's all I know. But I can't, there's no record labels to pay me money to go into the studio anymore. It costs money to even do it at home now and to get people to record, right? And then I get no support out on the road. Nobody goes out to see live music, so I can't. And if I create music and I put it on, all these streaming services and what have you, and iTunes and all that kind of crap, which is going away too, I don't make any money. How can I make money doing this? I got to go out and get a regular job. I got to go work in Walmart. I got to go wait tables at a restaurant. So what's going to happen if this continues to slide this way? And 5 years from now, all of a sudden, you got, musicians like, I can't do this anymore. Then what? Okay. So I know I talked a lot about things here, and this was more of me getting a lot of shit off of my chest. But it's really a sad, sad situation. It really is. And it's just painful for me, you know, as someone who has worked around the music industry for the last, 20, 25 years. And, someone who also plays a little bit myself. I'm not a professional musician by any means. I just kind of dabble in as a hobby. But I have a lot of friends who have tried to make money doing it as a career. I know a lot of people in a lot of bands, right, they're all struggling. There's no one out there who's like, oh, it's fabulous. And I know the music industry has changed a lot over the years. A lot of artists and bands, musicians got fat off the music industry back in the 60s, 70s, and part of the 80s. And I get that. And maybe this is a way of it all coming around. But it's like, but still, they were paid back then well to create, magic for all of us, to help change our lives. One of the things my friend Jeff Young always says is music is healing. All right. Music has a way of lifting you up and helping us all get through life. Okay, well, if the music is benefiting us in our life, shouldn't we help out the musicians who create this magic so they continue to do so? Okay. Not everybody's going to agree with what I'm saying here, and I totally get that. But I have always felt that they're doing a job, just like I do a job in my day job, okay? Just like the fireman does, just like the policeman does, just like the doctor does, just like the clerk down at Walmart does. Okay, everybody's doing a job to, for a reason, to benefit society or to, whatever it might be, to help a company grow, to, whether you're on an assembly line, whether you're driving a tank, flying an airplane, stitching up someone's, open heart surgery thing. It doesn't matter. You're working, you're doing something, you're creating, you're filling a need. And you need to get paid for it, right? That's what working is, right? And musicians are exactly the same. They are creating art for us to enrich our lives. They need to be compensated for that the right way, okay? So we've touched on being spoon-fed from the media. We've touched on, musicians being paid for the art they create. A lot of stuff for you here to kind of digest and think about. So if you are someone who's kind of shut yourself down from, new music and all that kind of stuff, I get it if you want to continue on that way because, look, let's be real. I could tomorrow decide that I'm no longer going to listen to any new releases or buy any new releases. I'm just going to spend the rest of my days with the catalog, the library I have, and you know what? I'd probably be fine. Unfortunately, it's not in my DNA, right? So I won't be fine. I don't think I would be able to do that for too long. I could easily stop tomorrow. And there's probably many of you who are thinking that way. It's like, I'm more than happy with my collection of, 1,000 CDs by all the bands that I love, the albums that I love, or maybe you got, LPs and all that kind of stuff, whatever. And that's totally cool. But if you're someone who just is, feels there's something missing, you got to go out and explore and find. Man, the world is your oyster, I'm telling you. Don't just wait to hear what, you're being spoon-fed by the media to say, you should listen to this. This is great. This is new. This is number 9 on the Billboard charts. Who gives a fuck? If it's not number 9 on the Billboard charts, it probably sucks, right? Probably. Go out to a music festival. Go and see, some of these, and I know there's not many music festivals here in the U.S., but, there are some, and you can go see a lot of, unknown independent artists in whatever genre you like, okay? Go out and see some live music. So anyway, I digress. I'm going on all sorts of different tangents here. But yeah, basically, the music industry is in a bad place right now, but only we, the listeners, can change that, okay? We all have a voice. Stop digesting the bullshit that the media is feeding us all the time, okay? What you see on the TV shows and the awards shows and, what's in your Facebook feed and, oh, you should watch this. No. Go out and make your own decisions, okay? This has been Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on YouTube very, very often. Stay tuned for more classic album wars, top 10 songs, new release shows, all sorts of good stuff. We've got plenty of it coming up. What else? Yeah. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.